Nike currently have two soft ground sole plates, SG Pro and Anti-Clog traction. So in this video, I'll be using my expertise in material science and engineering, as well as my love for football boots, to explain the differences between the two sole plates, doing a little experiment to see how effective Anti-Clog really is, and at the end tell you which of the two is probably the best option for you. So first of all, here's a bit of background around each sole plate. The SG Pro sole plate comes from Nike's Pro stock or football boots. Typically, these are only meant for pros, but you can get them from select retailers in small quantities, or you can get them off like resellers, garage style apps like Vinted, eBay, Depop, etc. And typically with the newer ones, you would find that they're either made in Italy, in Nike's Montebelluna factory, or sometimes in Bosnia as well. With the more modern SG Pro sole plate, what you'll find is a mixture of molded TPU studs as well as replaceable aluminium studs. You can tell that they're aluminium because they're not magnetic. But the main chassis of the sole plate will still also be made from TPU. Now for Anti-Clog. Anti-Clog traction was a technology released by Nike in 2016, with the premise behind it being that it prevents mud from sticking to the bottom of your foot, which would slow you down as your game goes on. But the actual quotes from Nike say this: Nike Anti-Clog traction prevents mud from clogging the sole plates of Nike's football boots. The technology was developed over a course of 2 years with insights from Nike's design, materials, and research teams. Dr. Jeremy Walker was one of the several PhDs working on this project, with backgrounds in material science and engineering and chemistry. There's a reason why this problem persisted for so many generations of players, says Walker. It's extremely difficult to solve. That's the kind of challenge we thrive on. Nike Anti-Clog traction sole plates include an adaptive polymer that becomes compliant when exposed to water. Walker and his team initially pursued a variety of mechanical and water-repellent solutions, but concluded none of them were viable for the lifetime of the boots. The next approach seemed counterintuitive, but ultimately proved effective. We stopped thinking about repelling water and started thinking about using it to our advantage to create a lubricous layer without sacrificing traction, continues Walker. Understanding the molecular structure of mud was key to developing a hydrophilic solution which helps keep mud from clogging the sole plates. Now, there's probably a lot of terminology that went over a lot of people's heads. So essentially what they did is with Anti-Clog traction, they've created or used a polymer that attracts water somewhat to prevent more mud from sticking to your boots. It sounds a bit, contradictory, but that's how it works. So in essence, when the sole plate becomes exposed to water, it becomes slippery, which prevents more mud from sticking to your boots. Now, when it was first initially released in 2016, and also a few years after, the Anti-Clog traction boots did have replaceable aluminium studs, but with the more kind of recent, maybe I want to say since around 2022, they've been replaced with they have permanent plastic studs which are tipped with stainless steel, and you can tell they're stainless steel because those are magnetic. Pros tend to prefer the SG Pro sole plate. I think that's only because maybe that's what's given to the pros, and well, the fact that people do claim that Anti-Clog, the sole plates are heavier than the SG Pros. But let's actually put that to the test. So many thanks to the boot blog. So what I've asked him to do is provide me with a video of the exact same boot, the exact same size, only one has Anti-Clog and the other one is the SG Pro. And from this video, you can clearly see that there's only a 10-gram difference. Now, 10 grams is not a noticeable difference on feet, and it's not going to make a difference whatsoever. But you have to remember that the difference in weight will tend to differ from boot to boot. So, because of the construction of the stud configuration and the sole plate, as well as the fact that newer models of the Anti-Clog do have the more heavier stainless steel tips when there's more plastic to them as well. So, but in all, in terms of like weight difference, you're not going to necessarily notice that too much on a football pitch. Hey, but what do I know? I'm not a professional footballer. Now, for the experiment, what I'm going to do is I've got a game today. Well, in a few hours of me filming this, I'm going to play a match. So I'm going to play one half in a pair of boots with Anti-Clog, and then the other half in a pair of boots with the SG Pro. And after the match, I'll show you the results of how much mud each sole plate was able to keep on them, or should I say attracted, as well as just share with you my kind of experience using both, if I felt maybe that was heavier or etc. Now, unfortunately, I don't have the exact same boot in Anti-Clog and then SG Pro, but I've got it's something similar. So I'm going to have to use my Tiempo 9 and my Hypervenom 3. So do take the roads with, I guess, a pinch of salt, because it's not as truly as comparable as it could be, but it's just good to actually get an idea of how effective Anti-Clog is compared to the SG Pro.
Later.
And we're back. So I've come back from my match, just watched the Arsenal game. The Arsenal game, at least we won. My match, we lost 3-0, unfortunately. But anyway, here are the results. So on screen will be the before of each boot. So as you can see with the Tiempo and the Hypervenom 3, they're just both clean. I made sure they're both clean before I even tried doing this test, so you can get an even better before and after. Now what I did was I played the first half in the Hypervenom, and then the second half I played in the Tiempo. And then after the final whistle, I took pictures of each boot sole plate, so we have a comparison for before and after. So starting off with the Hypervenom, since I wore it first, as you can see, it picks up a bit of mud. So because the weather is improving here in the UK, the pitch wasn't as wet or muddy as I thought it'd be. It was actually quite dry. I actually thought about switching to the foam grounds that I had with me, but I needed to make the video, so I stuck with the Hypervenoms. But as you can see, they did pick up a bit of mud, which is what I would expect with the SG Pro. And then moving on to the Tiempo with the Anti-Clog technology, as you can see, like, there's a dramatic difference. It pretty much doesn't take, almost, like, it does take up a little bit of mud, but, you know, compared to the Hypervenom, is pretty much almost nothing. So from that, we can definitely say that Anti-Clog does work. It should be added with Anti-Clog that it is a coating, so I do believe that it does become less effective over time. Well, at this point in the video, you can see, compare the SG Pro to the Anti-Clog, you can see there's a huge difference in the performance of keeping mud off your boots. Now, if you ask me which one is better and which one is the better option for you, I would say it really depends. So we have to remember, with the SG Pro, and why pros kind of prefer it, is because they play on like pristine, well-kept pitches where there's not a lot of loose soil and a lot of mud is not going to stick to the bottom of the boot. So for them, it's going to make a minuscule difference whether they wear SG or they wear the Anti-Clog. You will still find pros who use Anti-Clog, but again, it's not going to be a huge difference. But if you're someone who plays maybe recreationally, or maybe you do play like a decent enough level, but you're playing on pitches which aren't as well kept, with a lot of like loose soil, bobbly pitches, or like kind of almost stereotypical Sunday League pitch, I would say the Anti-Clog might be a better option for you, because sometimes they can get really, really bad. And that's been it for the video, guys. Hopefully you learned a bit about material science. Hopefully that's what I try to provide with some of these videos. Maybe you've made a decision on which one you're going to get next, whether you're going to get Anti-Clog, or if you can get SG Pro, you might get the SG Pro. If you want to see more football boot experiments like this one, I've got loads of more in store, so be sure to subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like the video if you enjoyed it. If there's anything you would have liked to see in this video, please comment it down below. Maybe I can do a later one. Maybe it'll probably have to be in like autumn or winter at this point, because it's pretty much spring now and the pitches are getting drier. But anyway, so yeah, like always, follow me on my socials. Thank you for watching. My name is Sub. This has been Substance Football. Peace out.